This is Drop Tent Media Network.
Seriously, Dad?
Seriously, Dad? Two father comedians out of Philadelphia. Seriously, Dad?
Dad? Seriously?
Dad?
Seriously?
Yo, welcome back, season 2. Seriously Dead.
Wait the clap, Jimmy Dugan. Welcome to Seriously Dead. No, today, I think, we always try to hit so many different parenting topics, and we're trying to be good. But what about some stories? I was thinking about some stories that I had growing up of parents that were maybe not my parents, but parents that I saw out in there that were just acting a fool, like the non-examples of parenting,
like a wild ass, like a parent who didn't understand that they were really like a parent.
yeah, or they just didn't think to be. They weren't running for the office of parent of the year, so they were just surviving, and they were just because people have kids at like all sorts of ages now.
Yeah,
we MTV has glamorized teen mom. Like I had MTV on the other day because I sometimes watch Catfish. Don't judge me.
Okay, whoa.
I love Catfish.
God
like if
damn
nothing
it,
else
Jay.
is on, I watch Catfish. And so sometimes I have to remember that my daughters are in the room, and my oldest, Alicia, she's only 10, but she's like, her dash cam is always on. You know what I mean? Like she is always paying attention.
Yeah, they got that sponge shit,
because
man.
like we used to watch Impractical Jokers. I've talked about this before during the pandemic, and she would quote the episode. She's like, "Oh, is this when Sal's called Prince Herb?" Like she's just like, so I got to be careful. But so an ad came on in between, and it was about Teen Mom, and I was looking over at her, and I'm like, please don't absorb this as something that's a thing. I was like,
That's when you start making a lot of noise.
because
They're like,
you're a teen parent, you're making all sorts of silly mistakes and stuff. I can't imagine. I remember in my neighborhood in Carbondale where I grew up, there were some moms that were 16, 18. So by the time they were a 10-year-old, their parents were only 26.
Yeah, I knew a couple of women who had children young. They weren't acting wild. I feel like they were acting a little more mature, so they didn't fall into that wild thing. I did know some that act wild. But I would say maybe there's a split. But I saw some that were like really behind being a parent. But I saw some crazy shit. But I also saw crazy shit from like the 47-year-old mom who's supposed to be like a good, I don't want to say good parent, but like more of a authoritative figure walking in the house with 3 cases of beer for the youngster. You know what I mean?
So I had a kid growing up, a really close friend of mine. His name was Anthony, and he's no longer with us. But he was the kid from the bad side of the tracks. I taught him how to be good. He taught me how to be bad. We both I had like a stable 2-parent household. He was bouncing between both parents,
Okay.
and neither parent really kept tabs on him. And so the mom was like a late night waitress at Applebee's.
Okay.
Worked till close. And so like that was the first place I ever had access to liquor.
When you were saying that, I was like, he definitely got
Yeah,
drunk.
so the first time I ever drank liquor, and I did not get the concept of the difference between beer and liquor. So I didn't realize there were the volume of liquid you consume.
So you went to the liquor party
I
thinking
was
it
like
was a beer
having a
party.
can of beer, I had a can of liquor, drinking and it was like Key Largo schnapps or some nonsense that they had and that we knew his mom wouldn't miss,
Isn't it crazy when you start stealing booze? You don't even know what the fuck you're drinking.
All I remember is I got so drunk and like I was playing hide and go seek, but apparently nobody else was. So I was just playing it, and his mom came home and found me under the pool table.
Wow.
And I
you're
just
like,
remember her
"Baby."
yelling at me, but she wasn't really yelling at me. She was just like, Yoder, get out from under the table. Like, you're drunk.
And you're like, oh, at least I'm not jerking off down
And
here,
then she
right?
just let me like sleep it off and whatever. But like, she just didn't care. Like, it was just like,
And she was the one who was
she
working at Applebee's.
so she just was like, oh, he's drunk. And like, but if my mom had caught me like that, oh my God, I wouldn't have seen
Yeah.
the light of day. So, but she was just one of those things. So we had access. The parent really didn't care. But like some were just more loose with things. Like I had a friend who had the attached house. It was like, I don't know what they call it, the twin. And the other side, he basically got by the time he was a junior in high school.
They owned it. It was empty.
And so
they were,
and they
"Go
were on the
live
other
over there."
side, and it was thin walls. And we were
Wow.
over there partying.
Wow.
We were drinking. They knew we were drinking.
Yeah, but there was a thing about knowing that they're doing the bad shit under your
That's
roof.
how they all. That's
Take
how they
the
always
keys
justified it.
and like just don't leave. I think that's good because you're not going to stop them. They're either going to like get high in your backyard or they're going to get high at the football field, right? Like they're either going to get drunk here or they're going to get drunk there. I think it is good when they're in your house.
There's a lot of parents. Like my one buddy, he was very wealthy. They actually lived in what used to be the old Scranton Country Club. So it looked like this castle mansion looking
Christ.
house. Like it had like 4 floors. There were the
Yeah.
bathrooms on the basement floor were like stalls,
Like urinals and stuff?
Yeah,
That's
and there was
that's
two.
pretty
There was a
cool.
boys and a girls.
Nice.
And so he would have ragers. And so we were there, and the mom, it was a school night too. And they took our keys, whatever. And all I remember is we got so drunk. I remember setting an alarm so I could get up in the morning, and his mom had lunches waiting for us, like 15 bagged lunches of like
Wow.
homemade
What a
chicken
nice lady.
nuggets.
What a nice lady.
And like, so we all got to school. I barely made it that day, and I had to like take myself out of school early because I was still kind of hungover.
Okay, so here's the question. If you are the parent who lets shit go at your house because you got a big house, you took all the keys, no one's leaving, maybe they had a gate, maybe they closed the gate, so it was guaranteed. Should you tell the parents of the kids?
Right?
Or is it really just like honor system, I won't tell, you don't tell, and we're going to party at the Scranton Country Club?
I think that's why some parents say I won't let you go to someone else's house if they don't know the other parents.
Okay.
So I think maybe that's sort of like a good rule that maybe I'll have. Like, I'm not going to let my daughter go over somebody's house if I don't know that parent. And I haven't like hung out with them to know that they're like that or they'd be cool with that.
Like we would drink it and smoke. That's all we did: smoke weed and drink. And later on, the smoking weed became the choice.
Yeah.
We would smoke weed in my driveway in the back of the house. My mom never came back there, but she definitely knew what was going on, right?
Just turned a blind eye.
Yeah, but it was like, hey, he's here. I know where my son is. He's down there. Is he a little high? Is he a little goofy? Are they laughing at some silly movie? Yeah, but he's right there. I wasn't out at like someone else's house. I wasn't out in the streets getting high in front of someone's house. And I think that she was cool with that. Because it was just like,
So there was I guess it was like this time or springtime last year. Somebody must have been throwing a rager after prom across from my house because I could see it through the woods and hear them. And it was like 10 at night. And I was like, okay, I'm not calling the cops on them. They're having a good time.
Yeah.
They were so loud though. Like I was like, thankfully it was like a Friday night or a Saturday. So I was like, I don't have to wake up early, but like I could imagine, like I couldn't believe the cops didn't show up. I was kind of waiting all night for somebody else to call the cops on them.
Now, I have a really good question about that. If you have a house and you're throwing a party and it's just like the house is loud, you don't have speakers outside, you're not like this, the house is loud, but you have a house, it's not attached to any other houses, or maybe it is, but the house is loud. If someone calls the police on you and you're underage having a party, like what's the ground for like can that be can that be
I guess
party
they
be
would.
busted?
I mean, they
Or
would
you'd be
have
like,
to have
no, we're having a party.
cause.
Get lost.
They could come up, knock on the door, tell you to put it up. But if they see like an open container, or if they see something or smell something, then they probably could justify coming in and busting the party.
Okay.
But I would think that most of those cops are coming up just saying like, okay, hey, there's a noise complaint. Tone it down. And you would hope. Like, I know we had a time where we would go out to the woods. So my one buddy had a pickup truck, and there's like 6 of us sitting in the back of this pickup truck bed. There's coolers in this truck, and we had to go through the nursing home that my mom actually worked at. Through the back parking lot was a trail that took you up into the woods. And, like we were, I don't know what was happening. Like we were about to go up there, and the cop stopped us, and like came up, looked at us, and just we had like he like grilled us a little bit, but then he kind of just let us go.
So he knew,
and he knew,
he knew,
and he knew,
yeah.
and it was just one of those things that. But there were other times where we had gone up to that campsite and the cops came up on like 4x4s,
really,
and came in and raided the place. I wasn't up there that night, but everybody else kind of had to run. My buddy Anthony was running, and he ended up at my buddy Jameson's house and like had to crawl on the roof and climb in through his window.
Wow.
to like have a place to sleep that
That's
night.
probably fun that's probably so much fun for them.
There was like, I mean,
yeah,
it's
we're going to
just-
go up an old blah, blah, blah hill and bust this party. It's pretty sick. I got the 4-wheeler full of gas, and we're just going to make these kids scatter like fucking ants.
And and it depends. Like my one buddy Steve, unfortunately, his mom had passed. That's how I met him. Is his mom? He had lived with his mom. His mom had passed away. It was 8th grade, so he came to our school because he went to live with his dad, who had never lived with. And his dad, working for the family oil business. I think he was kind of a recovering alcoholic, but he didn't know how to be a parent, and he really wasn't around. I think he had a girlfriend at the time, and he was spending. So Steve basically had the house to himself. So we like would throw parties there, and we were able to do whatever we wanted there. And it was like, I just remember like, man, like we could get alcohol anytime we wanted to.
How did you get your booze?
So when I was working at the nursing home with my mom, there was a cook who was 25, and he was a cool dude. And so basically, I gave him the money. We met in a back alley. He then got 2 cases. One was, I think it was Zima.
Oh, shit.
Zima, and the other one was Miller High Life.
Were the girls coming to the party? Is that what the Zima was for? Or were the dudes just not knowing what it was?
I want to tell you that there were going to be girls there, but I'd be lying to you if I did that.
No.
So
Zima was popular as fuck.
But
though, at
here's the
one point.
thing: it was so bad that and we were at that age, we were 16, but I hated the taste of beer, so we each bought essentially a 6-pack of each. So you each got a 6 of whatever. And you saw people like, yo, I will give you 3 Miller Lights for 1 or 3 Millers for a Zima. People are like trading.
The least
'cause they
manly
just
shit
don't
you
want.
could do.
And I just remember, and that one was crazy because we got a cooler, and then we took it out to the middle of nowhere, and we had these coal hills in the back, and we dumped it. We put the beers, and then we put the ice on top. So if you opened the cooler, you just saw ice.
Oh, look
and
at
then
that.
we put it in the back of my trunk, and then I had to go home to get some stuff to go to Steve's because we were going to camp out in his backyard. And as I was there, that's when I got caught because I had a kid pull up, and we were trying to flex and be like, yeah, we got beer. And he's like, prove it. And I opened my trunk. And that's when one of my moms saw that I had the cooler, but it wasn't my biological mom. It was Colleen, who my mom was working at this nursing home 3 hours away. And so she made me bring the cooler inside. And I think I might have told this story before, but it ended up being that I was able to get it back. I ended up doing this secret mission. We got it back, and we just left it. We left beers there, so when the ice melted, it still looked like there were
there was beer.
Yeah,
Okay,
so,
I like that.
But we had all these because all these parents were just either we had a place to go because the parents weren't being parents or weren't focused on it. But it's crazy.
I remember going to a girl's house, and she's like, "Oh, my parents were at the bar."
Did you ever sleep
out.
over a girl's house?
In
With the
high
parents
school,
knowing?
Oh yeah. There was one, yeah. But we weren't doing things. We weren't fucking and shit.
No?
No. We were just there was a crew of girls who liked.
It was
me
a
and my
group party?
buddy. Yeah, it was a
Okay.
group. Yeah,
Oh,
so it
you're
wasn't
right.
just me and this person. But nah, never that. The first girl who spent a night at my house was when I was a freshman in college and came home over break.
Okay.
That was the first time a girl spent the night at my house. My mom was not a fan. And I lied to her and said that she was hanging out, woke up, went home and just came back
we just
real
fell
early.
asleep watching a
Yeah,
movie.
she wasn't a fan of that. But after that, it just Pandora's box has been open.
Yeah.
Now there's bitches in the crib. We were
right.
just but it was it was fun. But yeah, I remember being at people's house and be like, oh, my parents are out drinking. They won't be home till 2:30, and that was just what? Because my mom doesn't drink. She was never.
Yeah, we never had alcohol in the house.
They were just gone.
Yeah. Did you guys were you at any parties like the ones you're talking about, though? Do you remember the parents? Do you remember the parents who held some of the parties? Where they drink also at the parties?
No, I never
That's a
drank with a
very
parent.
specific wild parent.
That would be crazy. I don't
Because
think
I have experienced that.
Have you?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever actually drank. I don't think when I was that age, they were that. I didn't have anybody that egregious that was oh yeah, we're gonna party with.
Yeah.
you.
When you got into 16, 17 at all?
No.
House parties where like the parents were there?
The
No.
only time would be as if we were out at an event, like a wedding or something like that.
Sure.
That maybe, but yeah, no. The house parties, they kind of let us. At least in our scenario, you had a party where you were drinking with the parents, like.
Oh yeah. That's my Bon Jovi dad horror story. Like the Bon Jovi dads used to terrify me because I had a terrible. There's the one girl I would talk to, I liked. Their parents were drinkers, and they would just again the same mentality, like just do it here. If you're gonna do it, you might as well do it here, and we'll also do it. And he would get macked, and he would just take us into his garage, mostly the guys, and then make us listen to Bon Jovi on full blast at his Walmart CD mixer that he got, the biggest one, the most expensive one you could get from Walmart.
The 6-disc
Yeah,
changer.
100%. I think he had a 10.
Panasonic 6-disc
Oh, he was
changer.
throwing a 10 CDs.
And you're like,
into that.
hey, I want to go back in there and finger blast somebody. Why do I have to listen to this shit?
I'm like taller than him, but he's bringing me down with his arm
he's like,
into the
"Listen to this
shoulder.
part."
Like,
He's like, listen to this
like,
part.
just
And you're like,
terrified.
that's a weird drink with it. I mean, now you would probably get in a lot of fucking trouble, right? Because like now there's there's people having inappropriate relationships, which I probably have been happening forever, but now they're in our faces more. There's maybe a grooming aspect. You would probably get in a ton of fucking trouble, if you did that now. But whatever.
Or at least you have plausible deniability if like you're not there. But if you were there,
You guys,
if you're a parent and you got your kids drinking in the garage or in the living room and it's 6 of them, maybe there's 10 of them, whatever. And the police like knock on your door, as a grown up, aren't you going to be like, get the fuck out of here?
Sure.
You're not going to be like, well, I'm so glad you came by, officer. Everything's fine. Yeah, you're going to be like, why are you on my porch? Get the fuck out of here, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So now it wouldn't even be that serious of a thing.
No.
Not for
No.
me. Yeah.
You guys didn't have any people that you knew that smoked weed with their parents?
Smoked weed with their parents.
This is a me problem.
Yeah, you grew up in a different. I'm trying to think of smoke weed with their parents. I don't know.
Yeah, no, good for you guys.
One of the I'll tell you one of the craziest things that happened to me while we were smoking weed. So we lived in. My mom doesn't know this, neither does my sister, but we lived in a house that used to be a bed and breakfast. It was a very large house. Okay, so like the driveway was there, and the garage came around and did like a horseshoe in the back. And we would just get high in the back. We were outside getting high, and we were just being goofy. And there was like 4 of us. And my friend Sean walks to his car. And when he walked to his car, you could see down the driveway. And he was like, yo, the cops are out front. And we were like, ha, ha, ha. He's like, no, the cops are out front. So then we look, the fucking cops. So we all run inside.
Right.
We throw the apparatus away, which was a Pringles can at the time.
Oh, wow.
We throw that. It's like, clunk, 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 clunk. But it was still on my driveway, you know?
Right.
We go inside. And then because we're high, we're like hiding in the house. You know, like it's really weird. It's really
that
weird.
normal thing where
It's really, but then get this, and this is where I wish I knew a little more than I know and wasn't high. The fucking cops walked in the house, did not knock on the door, were not invited, walked in the house, like flashlights in the hallway, and I'm like, whoa, and they're like, oh, we got a call. We didn't know this was an actual house. Now, if I knew what I knew now, I'd be like, what the fuck do you mean? But we didn't want to get caught smoking weed. So we were just like, okay, and he's like, he goes, well, where's the one kid? He went to my buddy Sean who saw him, which is weird. I think he was just trying to make something. Sean was hiding under the fucking bed. So I went in the room. I was like, hey, Sean, the cop wants to talk to you. And this dude like crawls out from under the bed. And it was like some bogus shit that they made up. But it was like scary. I felt like at that point, I felt like I was getting raided. You know, I felt like it was Scarface. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But those cops were pieces of shit because they not supposed to be walking in someone's house like that. They're not even supposed to be in the driveway.
You're not supposed to.
they were
Yeah.
just bored. They're probably bored.
They were just bored trying to bust
trying to
fucking
get
kids.
something going on.
Small town stuff is also it's like it's more laid back.
Yeah, there wasn't crazy shit going on.
Yeah.
I mean, where I grew up, they used to love busting underage parties.
Oh sure.
You know, like people scatter running through alleyways
Oh, yeah.
and run through. They love.
I've done
they
that.
love that shit, man. That was. And then on Monday, it'd be like, who got caught? Oh, so and so got. Oh, he was up in a tree the whole time. It was like this. It was like a fucking. It was
Yeah,
fun, though.
the one that I was telling you where they got raided. Some ended up having community service, and
Yeah.
some of the ones who got caught
Yeah.
and that didn't get away.
The parents that are wild though, I will say, and I think you guys kind of hit on this. They also can be go-tos, like because they'll talk to you about stuff they're kind of not supposed to talk to you
Yeah,
about, like in
yeah.
a way.
Yep.
I thought I got a chick pregnant once.
Okay.
And I told my
Bon Jovi?
buddy's mom. No, yeah. Well, actually, you are correct. Yes.
Oh, you really?
Yeah.
There you
She
go.
thought. I think she just thought she was pregnant. She turned out not to be. But like, That's the mom I told. You know
do
what I
you-
mean?
yeah.
I was like, before I tell my mom, I'm telling second mom. We just call her second mom.
What
Yeah.
did she say?
She
Congratulations.
actually was she's like, well, we don't know if she's pregnant yet. She broke it down. You know what I mean? She's like, we don't know if she's pregnant yet. Let's see if she wants. She should come over and take a test, and she wouldn't take the test.
Oh, so
Yeah, so that was like I think I was 16. Like I was 16. My mom, I never told my mom.
I had one scare when I was 18, about to be a freshman in college, and we just both freaked over it. And I wish I had someone to turn. We just, and then you're like waiting to find out. I got so sick because I'm
You're all
working at a
stressed
mini
out and
mart.
shit.
I'm working at a mini mart all day, planning my life. Oh, I'm now going to be working here for the rest of my life.
You're like, all right, in 6 months with good performance, I could manage
yeah,
this
I'm looking
joint.
at Sue at the deli, who this is her career, and I'm like, I guess this is now my career.
You're like, the first thing
And-
I do is fire Sue because she sucks at making
and I got
pastrami.
so sick, I ended up getting like I think I was already sick, but I think I made myself even my immune system was low. I ended up in the hospital with pneumonia.
Did you have a second mom to tell?
And so no, I had a second mom. but like I just remember I didn't have an outlet for it. And
Yeah.
so as a result, I got myself so hyper focused on it because wasn't even really with this girl. It was a girl I knew, and we had done some plays together in high school and stuff. And so
that what
but
they
it was
call
just
them
a
now, plays?
freak
That's what they call
thing
them?
that happened one afternoon, and it was so out of character for me. And then boom, had this concern, but I didn't have an outlet. And so sometimes I think those parents who have been through it, right? Because they get it. They've been,
They know you on a deeper level than your parents do because of the
Well, yeah,
situation.
and
that
you-
they-
and-
yeah.
Because you can
Everybody
be
needs
free at
that.
their house.
Right.
Because you can be free at their house and
Yeah.
you can do some wild shit. And you may say
cool
some
mom.
wild shit. Then they know you. Where when you're at home, you're not really being free because like, mom's going to flip out if I start playing that Bon Jovi loud again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, this guy's like, listen to this part. Yeah, and then they know you a little better. And I mean, I think that's good. That's kind of like a village, takes a village, right? That's kind of like your village.
Well, that's
right?
why. That's why you need someone that you can talk to, even if it's somebody who's a little crazy, because then they understand. And I think those people, even at their heart, want to do well. Sometimes people just can't get their act together.
I mean, you've seen parents be crazy. I mean, because your kids are involved in so many sports. Both of you.
Oh, I can't stand
We don't
a
even
fuck.
start talking. I mean, we've touched on it, I think, but like I'm trying to think of just some wild stuff that fathers have done.
You ever
at
see a
baseball
fight?
games.
You ever see a fight at
Yeah,
Have you
of
ever
course.
seen two men fight at it or two people fight at a thing?
Yeah.
I never have you?
I've never seen two grown men in front of me go after it. I mean, I've seen people be aggressive, but
I have, but that's when
everybody
porn
always
searches.
everybody kind of backs out at some point, or somebody backs down.
Yeah.
Eventually. But yeah, like I mean, it happens all the time. Like, but for whatever reason, I've never had to. I've had parents be very vocal while I was coaching. And
Now,
in
do
the
you say something to him
stands.
after the game? Do you go up and go, "Yo, what's going on with you, Rick? What's going on, Ron? What's up?"
I mean, normally I would try to get some reconnaissance on them first to even just see if people already know that's how they are. Because I'm not going to waste my energy
if he's just the asshole who's
that's
going to
just
make
how they are.
right.
So you talk to whoever their fall coach is. Oh, they play football. All right, let me go talk
Yeah.
to Chuck. He's
And then
the
they go,
football
"No, that's
coach."
old man,
And I'm like,
he's- he's always
because we
gonna
did
do
have a
that.
dad who he was a drinker, and so then he would come to the games and he would
Drunk.
just yell.
That's-
But it's hard when people are drinkers. Like my dad's brother was the kind of drinker that he had so much in him he was never sober. Like he couldn't be sober. It would have killed him.
He would have started shaking and shit.
Yeah, because it was just he always had to drink, and those kind of when you're at a level like that, you're like that's a different beast. So you feel bad for those people if nothing else, but then the people who have to live with them every day, that's a different story. It's like
yeah, we had a
true
guy
crime
who would show up
podcast.
drunk at the games, and he would get loud. Never any fight. I've never seen a fight. I think if you get a fight at your kid's game, you're a piece of shit.
I mean, I've seen some TikTok videos where like the parents go after the ref or something. Or,
yeah, you're a
like,
piece of shit still.
You're like that's really
Yeah, I saw a video. I think it's in Chicago. The ref's got a gun on his waist.
what?
Yeah, the ref's got a holstered weapon, like ready to rock. I was like, I don't think that's a horrible idea. In some places, that's.
Jeez.
Or like I've definitely, but this is not really the parents. But I've heard stories of like, when this school plays that school, only immediate family can go to the game because every time they play, there's like a riot.
We had that. I think Pottstown and Pottsgrove were two schools by me that had a similar thing where they had to cancel the game where they couldn't have anybody.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got a do-rag on. I would not fuck with this. This has got a gun and a do-rag calling the game. Like,
He knows where
fuck around
he
and
is.
find
What is
out.
that in Texas? Are they in
I
Texas
think
or
that's the
Detroit?
D. I think they're in Detroit. I think they're in Detroit. So that means this dude has seen some shit and was like, nah, man, I'm going to show up to that game. I'm going to be
Not
strapped
today.
up. Yeah, he's like, I'm going to be strapped up. I'm wearing a do-rag. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to be here. I don't
These
even-
kids are taking a charge. I'm going to take a stand. It's like, this poor kid's like, yo, I'm not moving, dude.
Yeah, that's yeah. But see, I say all the time, I stay away from the fucking parents at the sports games because the sport they're fucking assholes.
I mean, I had a dad at a baseball game once, like a couple, like I had one where I was coaching like a 13U. We had this thing where we were Babe Ruth, which is like the bottom rung of like
Little League, like
like
before
there was
Little
like
League, yeah.
Legion and Junior Legion, which were like the better kids. I coached the they needed coaches at the Babe Ruth level, so I was like in the summers I was like 22 or whatever. I was like, I'm happy to do it. Well, I got a kid that we were allowed to bring on pitchers from the Junior Legion if they didn't have a game that day, and it was kids that didn't get to pitch a lot at that level.
Okay.
But they were good enough. So he was mad because I had this pitcher and he thought it was unfair, and he just kept coming up and screaming at me while I was in the third base box before the game started. And I'm like, and I just looked at him like, relax, brother. I'm not your brother. He starts screaming.
That's a good
at
comeback.
me.
That's a great comeback.
And
That's
he's
your brother.
And he's just screaming like, all right, man, I'm just telling you, we're trying to play a game here. There's parents over here. Can we maybe just and then I had one instance where I had a kid that I coached in school ball, and he just he wasn't very good, but he made the team because they're young enough that you don't know what's going to happen to them. So
Yeah.
you give everybody the opportunity. And then I coached him in the summer, and actually in the summer he got to play a lot more. But he was rude. Like he made a comment to me that was rude, and I had to sit him down after. I forget what he said, but he said something. I said, all right, well, now I can't put you back in the game right now. Like I started him.
You can't do.
And then I was going to. Then I took him out for the middle 3 innings to get somebody. Basically, he was the kid in school ball who I subbed in the middle of the game, and then in summer ball he was the kid I started and ended with. And so he made some comment. I said, "Well, now I can't put you back in the game." And so his parents saw me talk to him on the side and saw that he didn't go back in.
Yeah.
So after the game, they came running almost out of the outfield and were like screaming at me for like 20 minutes about their kid and how dare I talk to him. And it was just this thing that I was just like, why are you yelling at me? I'm volunteering my time to coach, and the lack of trust.
Well, you can't do that to a volunteer. That just you're just a fucking flat out piece of shit.
Yeah, my assistant coach was a kid who was like an 18-year-old, and he was just standing there just so I had a witness. You know what I mean? Like, but like just when parents go crazy like that on coaches, it's ridiculous.
If the coach were to hit the parent, I don't think I would have a problem with that.
Right.
In that scenario, like I've seen parents like drinking at games. That's a new one for me. I forgot. I've seen people drinking at games, like South Jersey parents, red Solo cups. Yes, and I'm like, this is fucking insane. They're getting drunk at the game.
I'm sure they tailgate or what. I mean, so we used to play a turkey bowl game every Thanksgiving at the high school, and the neighboring 2 high schools, the one I teach at. And then you'd see parents that would be tailgating. They would all meet up at this bar that opened at 7 a.m. It's like a third shift bar. They'd go there, get a shine on, go to the game.
How do you not have anything else? You have kids. How do you not have anything else going for you? Yo, do you know, it's going to get kind of weird, but I'm always the one who brings the weird energy to the fucking podcast. Do you know anyone who's banged someone's mom?
Ooh.
Or a teacher? Does anyone know?
I don't.
I've heard stories of people who've banged their friends' moms.
Really?
Yeah. And there's a buzz about someone who may have done so in a high school I'm aware of.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know nothing?
I've never.
What about you? You know anything?
He would have been though, like, yeah, the rumor was like, but by then he was like old. He was 18, but still, it was like kind of like, it was crazy because, yeah, you'd go to parties at their house when we were younger. And then like he's
Stiff with
18,
his
he gets
mom.
out. Yeah.
He's like
and
knocking
then
around.
she gets a divorce, that kind of thing, and then boom, there you go.
Like they banged like once, or they
Yeah.
were like banging.
No, like I think it happened once. I doubt it. If the kids already knew about it, it'd be pretty bold that she.
And
kept going.
were those dudes friends? Like, were they cool?
No, it was a divisive kind of thing. He was like, "Dude, you banged my mom? Good, that's awesome.
Congratulations,
buddy. Yeah,
that's
wow."
beautiful. That's weird. I wonder what goes on behind in that motherfucker's brain. Like, hey, I'm just gonna. Because even if the dude's 18, he's still like a boy.
It's still It's
right?
still wild.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing is like I think you think parents just because you become a parent you're going to be a parent. You know, anybody can have a kid.
Right.
It
Anyone
doesn't
can
mean
make
you can.
the,
Yeah, it doesn't mean you are a parent, and I think that's the hard part. Is especially if you grew up in poverty. Like so, in Pottstown, where I first moved here, I lived in the North End, and there's a community center that I sometimes work out at, and the Boys and Girls Club there has so many kids that go there because they live with their grandparents. Because their parents are in jail. You know, there's so much crime that's happening in Pottstown right now. They've had to like install cameras. Like every square foot of Pottstown is now
under surveillance,
captured by cameras of some sort. But like most of the kids are being raised by grandparents or single parents, and like there's nowhere for them to go, and that school has gotten such a bad rap, but there's so many great programs there that the community's trying to pick up because it does take a village. So because all these people had kids, and then if they're like there's a lot of like gang activity happening, drug deals gone bad, and you're seeing so many people who that's their dad, but he's also a drug dealer who's possibly in a gang,
or mentally is just not developed.
It's not,
like mentally is not on parent time.
Can't be
He's
there,
on like me time, fun time.
You know, it's something wild that we all would have experienced that we would consider definitely wild parenting today is anytime you maybe got transported back in the day. Like, did you guys ever ride in the back of a truck?
Oh man, isn't
When
that
you were
crazy?
younger?
Isn't that crazy? I've been in the back of plenty of fucking trucks. Yeah.
like just in the bed of a truck.
Yeah, just like when your dad's like,
Just
you want
waiting
to
to-
ride in the back?
Just waiting to hit a tree and go 40
Yeah,
feet
sure.
across the thing. Yeah, I've been in the back of a
One
truck.
of my friend's dad legit boxed us. Like we all like, and he was like an arm wrestling champion. Like
what are you talking about? You boxed you?
he boxed like legit. We put on the
Wow.
gloves and like we're like, oh, I'll box your
Oh,
dad.
man, so
and
Taylor
like I'm
is-
boxing him, and when I kid you not, this guy was so strong. Then I was probably like 16 or 17. He was punching the gloves I had up,
into your
and I was
face?
punching my
Yeah.
face. And then I got so fatigued that I dropped my hands.
And he lit you
and
the fuck
he
up.
lit me into the other room with his punch. I had never been hit by a person other than my friend's dad. Now,
that guy's a real
now
one.
they had him when they were 16. So he was probably a 31, 32-year-old man at this point. And
Yeah.
he just knocked out a 16-year-old kid. I mean, I went out. Like
he put you to
lost
sleep?
consciousness for a
Wow.
second. Like it was, and I had asked for it. Like I was like a fight, but like this guy was like legitimately was like, oh yeah, I'll
fight
box
this
him. And then he
fucking
dropped his hand. He's like, I'll teach him a lesson. Boom, and knocked me into the next room. So crazy. That was the craziest thing. A parent, aside from the one fight I talked about where the parent was like egging us on as we were fighting, and the parent was throwing rocks at me while I was fighting their
Oh
kid.
yeah, I definitely I've seen like the parents drive their kid to the fight. I've seen parents like you gonna let her talk to you, like instigate a fight. You gonna let her talk to you
Yeah.
like that. You gonna let them say that about you. I've seen shit like that. That's fucking disgusting.
So my uncle is married to a woman who raised 3 kids in the projects. You know, three different dads, weren't in their life,
Nice,
whatever.
nice.
And she's such a tough woman that she was the kind of parent that was like, "Yo, you go handle it right now. You go out there and you
Mm-hmm.
go kick his ass." And like that's, and she wouldn't. But she was like, that's different. That's like Griselda level. She was like, she was like. There was a level of like, even though she's crazy and she would tell you she's crazy, she's got this like level to her she's my favorite person in my extended family to hang out with. And I've been staying up there for last couple weeks, so I got to hang with her more. But like, she's got some great stories of like the things that her kids and she had got herself into young that like blows my mind to listen to her talk and the stuff that she was a part of. You know, she was telling me the one time that she was grateful there was like Bloods had come through the projects and did this like big raid, and like the kids were outside, and she was so grateful that her youngest Jesse was over by another person who she knew, because they instinctively grabbed all the kids and brought them inside because they were coming through fire and
That's like some Nino Brown shit.
going crazy.
Well, I think there's something to be said about a parent being like, no, go back out there and handle that, because you're teaching a child or a young person to like stand up for themselves. And, you know, it's another thing to like drive your kid to the fight and be like, make sure you put your hair back so she can't grab your hair. I've seen shit like that. I used to work in Kensington. and I saw the mom of the one girl who just got beat fight the girl that just beat her daughter. Grown ass woman in the street fighting, and she got her ass whipped. Yeah, and she got fucked up. That's good. You walk of shame. You both got to walk home. Got fucked up by the same girl. You got to transfer schools.
Damn.
Yeah, you can't.
That's
be
like Game of Thrones, like
Yeah.
family shit. You got to be like the family of Tasha now stands against that other family. We just
you could
whooped
be in
your
a
ass.
homeroom, but yeah, I fucked you and your mom up yesterday in the street, and people were videotaping it. So there's that.
That was like the movie. Did you see the movie The Accountant with Ben Affleck?
Yeah.
Where the dad like drives them out, like they were living in France or somewhere, and like whatever, something had happened. Like I forget what the scene was, but he like drives them up, and like they were the kids that I guess bullied them at school or and he drove them up. He's like, all right, now go take care of them, and they went out and like did their jujitsu or whatever. They
Well,
did.
that's a real old school way of doing it, right?
But I mean that video. That's a but. That's I don't know. I mean, my parents wouldn't have ever. I mean, my parents got me involved in martial arts, but that's because I liked the Ninja Turtles. It wasn't because I was like trying to defend.
Yeah, you
myself or
driving someone
something.
to a fucking fist fight or getting involved in the fist fight. That's fucking nuts, man.
I mean,
you're a crazy person.
The only time I ever had a fight like that, it was weird. We were playing baseball we had this like sand lot at the end of our street. And so we had like, there were like four of us. So you'd play like 2-on-2, double or nothing baseball. You had a pitcher.
Stupid
and
baseball game,
center
pitcher's
fielder.
hand, right? Yeah.
And there was a kid, there was an older kid there. And I don't know what happened, if I hit him with a pitch or something, but like I was new. I just moved in, and he like was testing me, and he came up and like charged the mound on me and like tried to like fight me. And I just remember not fighting back. Like I didn't fight back. And then he lost interest because I wasn't fighting back. And then we became really good friends.
And you
after
still
that.
kept on playing
and then
baseball.
We
You kept on playing,
Yeah,
didn't
we
you?
kept playing
Yeah, you kept on
baseball,
playing.
and we became really good friends after that. But it was just like this initiation thing that was weird. And but like I didn't have it in me. I wasn't that kind of kid. Like
The violence.
yeah, I
stuff,
mean, it was because I had a lot of estrogen in my life. I don't know, but like I just didn't have it in me to like go and beat someone up or.
Yeah. Well, those kids are probably the ones who end up beating people up at the baseball game at the game.
Yeah.
I mean, this one girl, I felt bad for her. Her dad was a big dude, tall guy, had a very distinct voice. It was girls basketball, so sorry to say there wasn't a lot of people at these games. And every game, he was the guy who stood up and yelled and pointed and all this shit. All the while, every game, his daughter starts crying on the fucking bench, or on the court will walk off in tears because her dad just embarrassed the shit out of her.
Yeah.
What a fucking asshole!
Yeah.
Right? Like, is it that serious to you? Like, no good is coming of this at
Hopefully he doesn't
all.
have an outlet. That's what you're talking about, like in that past episode we did with
Ricardo.
Ricardo, where we're talking about like if you don't have an outlet for that stuff, then you're carrying this thing with you.
Yeah,
That's
and-
really not that. You're just he felt safe. Like you're such a coward that he let it come out there,
Right.
Because he knew, like nobody's gonna like do it there. Where he probably had that anger pent up from some other situation that was unhealthy. If we don't have those things in our life, that's why I always feel bad for the people like that because they're clearly missing an opportunity in their life to process whatever that is.
And that's the same for the substance stuff, right? It's for the heavy drinker who thinks that drinking is normal.
They're escaping. They're using it as an escape to
yeah.
deal with it.
Their teeth. I think there's like a level of them wanting to make it normal so they don't feel so fucked up.
Yeah.
Right? Like some people drink, some people don't, some people are alcoholics, some people aren't, right? Let's say you have a drinking problem. We won't even go full on alcoholic. Let's say you have a drinking problem. It's a lot more exciting for you to have other people around you drinking, joining the party, than you drinking by yourself and they're watching you going, wow, this guy's on his third fucking beer by 10 o'clock in the morning.
And there's an appeal to it. Like I remember one of the things I used to do as a bad habit of mine, like especially when I was younger, I would go to a Phillies game or something, right? Go to a sporting event, and then I'd have a couple beers, and then all of a sudden my thing was to like yell at the players. And then say the most ridiculous things that were so offensive. And I don't know why,
man.
but like, and I look back and I'm like, I'm ashamed of myself for doing it.
Oh,
but like, my goal was I was just trying to get attention. Like, and I was like, and so I don't know what it was, but I would get drunk and I'd be like yelling at him, and I'd be like, Minnie would do something, I would like go in, and I was trying to make maybe the people around me laugh. But like, it was so dark and it was so mean, and it was just like not a part of me that I liked, and I don't know why I felt the need to do that. But like I think
Well, you wanted the attention,
I
but
don't
you were
want
also
the
you were
attention.
drunk.
I was drunk. I know. I think, and I was also. I don't know if you're just processing like, things that you're not happy in your life with, and you're like trying to fill a void. Because that's what when people are doing drugs, alcohol, food, whatever.
Right. They're just-
there's something you're not happy with that you're not dealing with.
Yeah.
And that's the way of trying to fill this void with something, so that you don't have to think about it.
And there's also comfort in doing it where someone can't really do anything back.
That's just it.
Bryce Harper can't put the bat down. I guess
Yeah.
sometimes they do, right? Malice at the Palace. There's times when they do get it, but he's not going to put his bat down, walk over to seats 36C, and fuck with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just got to zone it out and keep on going. So it's like very safe to do it at a sporting
That's right.
event, or safe to do it at a comedy club. How many of us have been telling a joke and then some guy's like, and you're like, dude, you're going to.
You need attention. Yeah.
Yeah, like-
That's why I was like, I asked if there's any mothers in the audience. I was like, because this guy needs your undivided attention.
Yeah.
So if you could just take him out back.
Yeah. And so
But like, that's what they need. But I think that's true because like, I was trying to think. When I was there's a guy on TikTok that basically does the opposite now. He records himself yelling positive things at the players. It's like,
smart
I
guy.
bet you have amazing glutes. It looks like you work out and eat healthy and take care of your body. And he's just yelling this stuff to just get the other people
Yeah.
around him to laugh. But it's all positive stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's funny because like that to me is like wholesome, but that's like the antithesis to the other guy that's doing that, and that's fun. Like that's good. That's why like even within comedy now, I'm like I can appreciate clean comedy because that just means you're being more creative. You're getting to what the issue or the relatable thing is
And
without being
not
offensive.
just drowning it with
Without just throwing a bunch
yeah.
of curse words. But don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, like, and you've seen it recently. I've let loose a little bit with.
You get a little dirty out there.
I get like
I
I'm
mean,
like I'm like because I'm like playing with it. I'm like, oh, where am I on the Danny Tanner to Bob Saget spectrum tonight? That's sort of
That's a
any
good
given
one,
night. But like hey, Picasso painted a bowl of fruit too. You gotta
Yeah.
like play with the different styles. But like I think there's something to be said for the guy. Like I appreciate that guy. But every once in a while you just kind of want to let loose. I don't know. It's a slippery slope.
But now you do see people walking on the seat 4C and saying something, right? Like Westbrook had a thing. I saw Kevin Durant on Instagram having a thing with somebody. Like now it's kind of like maybe you're not so protected now. Maybe you are because Kevin Durant's not going to punch.
Wasn't there
someone in the
years
nose.
ago like Ron Artest got in trouble because he like went into the crowd and like
Yes.
punched a guy?
There was many people. That's called Malice at the Palace, my friend. There was Ben Wallace was involved with that. Steven Jackson was involved with that. Ron Artest was involved with that. It was the Pacers and the Pistons.
Yeah, but I just recall there
Yeah.
being like, "Whoa!" All of a sudden,
some asshole threw a beer at him and it hit him.
that's right. That's what it was.
And like, you can make you can be a millionaire. You're still a human being, and like things are gonna
Yes.
take over.
Yes,
And it's very hard to get hit with a cold beer in the middle of a game and be like, I'm cool with this.
Well, I even
So-
saw like Nikola. Who's the guy who was like the Mav player? Nikola Jokic.
Jokic.
Like
Yep.
he had to ask a guy to get removed at one point because he was like apparently just nonstop in the first half, and then by the second half
Well,
it was just like
Now, I do have a question about that. If you're being heckled by the other team, you suck. Nice shot. Air ball. Throw another turnover. Do you deserve to get asked to leave a game because of that?
yeah. I mean, I think if you're being disruptive and other people are not able to enjoy the game and they also paid money, so like if you're not like like we have this at the high school sometimes the student sections will get together and chant.
Yeah.
But then like they're like but then they get very creative with it. So that they're not like being offensive because that's
Okay.
one of the rules even within the PIAA, which is the
Yeah.
Pennsylvania Interscholastic. It's the governing body for school sports. But like you can't like punch down on the other team.
Right.
But like they can find other ways to be
To get
creative
something.
to get
Right.
under your skin.
But once again, so let's say you're not cursing, you're not, right? But you're yelling air ball, nice throw, another turnover.
Yep.
Luca, and you're doing that. You don't deserve to be kicked out
No,
of the
not
game
for that. I
right?
don't think so. No, you just deserve to get some side eye. You know.
Right. What do you think, Neil? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think it's a line that I don't see used often because it's usually if the players are held to a standard, that's what I think we should all try to. But that's insane. They never, and I don't know what their trash talk, right? Whatever their trash talk is, I think we should be able to do the level of that. But I think there is a line there somewhere where it's like, hey, it's messed up what you're saying, and yeah, you should be held to the same standard they are. Like if they were a player and yelled what you just said, they'd be like, yo, technical, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah,
You can't
yeah,
say
right.
that.
Yeah.
That's insane. You know what I mean?
Well, that's just it. If it's a threat or it comes off as a threat, then
Something,
so be it. But like also too, if that guy's coming in and yelling while he paid for his money and
Yeah,
he
and
wants
that's
to
what he
be
wants to do, yeah.
vociferous in his support.
Sports are where we're supposed to let out some energy too. Right?
Yeah,
that's what
it.
they are.
It is
used
like
for.
it's like the ancient Romans had their gladiatorial battles.
Right.
Like we have
But
this.
more so, I actually get a little. I don't like the situation in general, but I've also seen where the athlete turns around and engages with the. Now, what if your dad, daughter, first Pacers game, first Raptors, whatever, and you're sitting there, and then someone turns around and says, "Hey, fuck you," and they go, and now you got the player yelling at this guy, and he's saying, "Motherfucker, fuck, blah, blah, blah." That's pretty fucked up too for you and your daughter taking her to her first game, and that I'm never really a big fan of that either.
No, yeah. Well, the players got to be focused on the game. You got to learn how
They got
to
to hold themselves to a higher.
Yeah, they just got to
nonetheless.
tune it out and focus. They got other things to think about, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I mean, because we don't want to have that energy. I don't want to take my kids to that because I don't want them. To
Right,
be
you don't want to
exposed
bring
that.
your kid. Yeah, I don't go to football games. I do not go to NFL football games because I went to a Buffalo Bills games once, and the shit I heard. I don't go to NFL. I don't fuck with the NFL. It was rant. It was like I was like, what is up with these people?
Yeah.
It's probably a Bills thing. You know, Chris Dolan's a Bills fan. It's his fault.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of crazy things out there, but I think I hope that people kind of police themselves, and even the people in the section or the people who came with that guy.
Yeah, sit
hopefully
down.
can rein them in.
Come on,
Yeah.
Ronnie, sit down.
Sit down, Ronnie.
Fuck Ronnie.
Ronnie, sit down.
Everyone who annoys me is named Ronnie.
Well, you got so this we're going to be coming up on April. It's almost going to be April 1st. You doing? I don't have any April Fool's jokes, but you have anything?
I got stuff in April. I don't know what they are. So just go to Albert Davis.
Albert Davis.
_4th on Instagram, and you can see, and then come support. I think we have something coming up when the weather gets
So
nice.
what we need to say is we need to promote the fact that
Yeah.
this Father's Day's Eve, June, we're going to have a Seriously Dad live podcast at
What?
Soul Joel's
Soul
in
Joel's.
Pottstown.
Yeah.
Saturday, June 15th, 8 p.m. You can already get tickets at souljoels.com.
There you go.
It's going to be our wonderful producer Neil Wood with us. We're going to all do some stand-up. Then we're going to do a live podcast. It's going to be...
Eat some food, grab a couple
we're gonna,
beers, tell some jokes.
Gatsby's is open.
cut
We're going to
it
have a
up.
great
Yeah.
time. So you need to get that going because that's going to be in mid-June.
Yes.
The night before. So yeah, bring your father, bring the neighbor from down the street. We don't care. Just come on
Just
by.
make it happen.
Heck yeah. I'm going to be at the Stress Factory for a weekend with my buddy Gasper, who was on
friend
season
of the pod,
1.
Gasper. Yep.
So he and I are going to be doing a weekend at the Jersey Stress Factory coming up. Go to jyodercomedy.com.
Seriously, Dad?
Seriously?
Thank you for listening to the dads, for once. Give these daddies a break. And maybe follow, subscribe, like, and comment to the dads on Instagram and YouTube at Seriously Dad Pod. Rate and review Seriously Dad Podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, and everywhere you get your podcasts.
Seriously, Dad?
Hi, I'm International Man of Mystery Dan DePriel, and I'm one of the weekday comics. My friend Dave and I get paid to do comedy, believe it or not. But we're not allowed to tell all the jokes we want to tell. That's why we started this podcast. Join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m., where we're going to talk about the news of the day and tell a couple of jokes that we just don't feel comfortable telling on stage. Hey, we don't have careers, so who gives a weekday comics? Our podcast, where we give you the big bags of trash we were born to be and aren't allowed on the shows they pay us to do.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.